A German court has sentenced a former Syrian intelligence officer to jail for complicity in crimes against humanity. Ian Lee's following this story, as well as others from London. Ian, what more can you tell us?
Good morning, Anne-Marie. This truly is a landmark ruling. Rights groups and even CBS's own reporting have detailed these alleged crimes against humanity during the Syrian civil war. The former intelligence officer, Eyad Al-Gharib, is now the first person to ever face trial during the 10-year conflict. The judge sentenced him to 4.5 years in prison for aiding crimes against humanity. Al-Gharib was accused of accompanying the transportation of 30 detained demonstrators, despite knowing they'd likely face systematic torture in prison. Al-Gharib and another former senior regime officer, Anwar Raslan, defected in 2012. Raslan is also currently on trial. He's accused of overseeing the torture of at least 4,000 prisoners. Next, we move on to the United Arab Emirates, where the captive daughter of Dubai's ruler, Princess Latifa, seen here, is calling on UK authorities to reopen the investigation into her sister's kidnapping more than 20 years ago. Princess Shamsa was nabbed off the street in Cambridge. She hasn't been seen in public since. A high court ruled in 2019 that Dubai's ruler had abducted both daughters and is holding them against their will. Last week, the BBC leaked secretly recorded videos by Latifa describing her detainment and asking for British authorities to help. Next, we're in Myanmar, where Facebook has banned the military from using its platform. The tech giant said it acted after deciding the risks of allowing the military on Facebook and Instagram are too great. With half of the nation's population on Facebook, the military has been using it as a tool to boost false claims of voter fraud in last year's election, which was the main reason for their coup earlier this month. At least 3 protesters have been killed in demonstrations since the takeover. Finally, we're in Australia, where the country passed a law making Google and Facebook pay for news content on their platforms. You may remember that Facebook blocked all news content in Australia last week, but reversed the decision after negotiations with the government. The new law has amendments making it possible for the 2 tech giants not to be subject to the code. However, both companies have committed to paying big sums to some of the country's largest publishers in a deal seen as a compromise. And Anne-Marie, this new law could have a ripple effect across the globe. I suspect if it proves workable, we could see other countries following suit.
Yeah, the world was watching. I think it's very interesting that, what Facebook said in the negotiations is they want to be able to pick and choose which news outlets they pay money to, not to sort of wholesale have to just sort of fork over cash for any news that shows up on their Facebook page, which means maybe it will result in more credible news sources on Facebook. I don't know, but we will all be watching to see how it turns out. Ian,
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.